Oh, hello, yes. Another day, and the first policy announcement from Catherine Birbalsingh, our new social mobility czar. I was intrigued last night. I was thinking, oh, I wonder what policy that's going to be. Let's see what great ideas she's come up with. And the great idea she's come up with is not giving a phone to a toddler to play and reading a book to them instead. Which is great because that has no resource implications whatsoever. Hurrah! That's a good one. Think of the money we're saving. But this comes down to some of the things I've been saying before about a conservative mindset, and there are problems around that view, which is an individualistic view of society. Okay, it kind of ignores power structures and economics and, well, to my way of thinking, reality, and concentrates on the failures or otherwise of an individual. I work in the field of autism, and if you look at the history of children being diagnosed with conditions like that, let's say in the 40s and 50s when it didn't particularly have a name, it was attributed to what was known as cold mother syndrome, the idea that mums just didn't love their kids enough and it was their fault. And, there's a strand of this that still runs through various autistic programs you can buy into for your child. I won't name any of them to shame them, but which basically says if your child is still autistic at the end of this, it's your fault because you're a bad parent. Yes, and to my way of thinking, it just doesn't understand, even basic statistics. You can make a statement. Imagine the statement, right? Okay, which is people with Ferraris live longer. Therefore, buy a Ferrari and you will live longer. Okay, well, fine. But the problem, of course, with that is it's not owning a Ferrari, is it? That's a symptom and not a cause. Owning a Ferrari is a symbol of wealth. So it's wealth that makes you live longer, not the car. I mean, you could give a Ferrari to a terminally ill cancer patient. They're not going to live longer. You can give a Ferrari to a bloke in his 40s living in a tenement in central Glasgow, and there's a good chance it won't add any more than a month or two to his life expectancy. It's not the way those things work. The issue isn't the car, the issue is the money. And this is an inherent problem with a conservative mindset. The concept that effectively you operate through this sea of nothing, which doesn't have any features to the terrain. There's no economics involved. There's no sort of historical, cultural stuff that's involved. You simply have to decide to be a better person. I'll give you a quote from the article. Mrs. Birbalsingh said the secret to success for any child of any colour, important that, is to have a family that supports their education, makes them do their homework, and will force them off their phones. I mean, you can see this from a lot of right-wing commentators. People like Ben Shapiro are forever going on about this. They will argue that it's, being black doesn't make you historically poor in the States. No. The basic problem is because you come from a one-parent family. And it kind of hints at some of the ideas, but it refuses to accept the basics of the economic and materialist position of the people. This happens throughout government. This idea that the reason why people are poor is it must be because they're lazy and stupid. They must be. Why? How do we know? Well, because they're poor, and poor people are lazy and stupid. Because, these people that work 2 0-hours contracts for 60 hours a week, if they want to get out of poverty, they just need to get a better job. I don't know. I'm often astounded when I hear these kind of things because, from my perception, and granted I'm a lefty and all that stuff, but it just seems such a shallow way of thinking. This idea that magically, if you take a child from anywhere and ape middle class values, that they will somehow achieve in the same way that middle class kids do. I don't believe that they will. Historically, that has not been the case. If you've wanted to make a difference historically, and you can look at this, for example, the stuff that Blair did with a variety of educational imports that had enormous success, particularly in places like inner city London. There's no blinding secret to it. But of course, the beauty of blaming parents for the lack of success of their children is that you don't have to do anything about it. And you don't have to spend a penny. other than being interviewed by the Daily Mail and suggesting you read a book to your kids. And yes, you should read a book to your kids, granted. But if you come from a very poor background, there's a good chance that you are having to work all the hours that God sends. And I don't blame parents for giving their children a phone if they just want to take a breather. You're not a bad parent if you do that. Anyway, yeah, Thursday. Woo! Have a nice day.